start, sir.
Well, my dear friends, today I am going to deal with the significance of the title of The Kite Runners by Khaled Hosseini. But before we actually go into the nitty-gritties of the text and thereby justify or nullify the significance of the title of this text, we have to say something about the title and its significance in any literary or artistic work. Okay, the poet says that rose is a rose is a rose. What's there in the name? But the linguist says a rose is a rose because it is not a China rose. So basically, the importance of the name, the title, the caption, the headline is not only to communicate the intended message in an encapsulated, in an intense, in a short, crisp manner, but also to confine or to point out the terms of reference, the scope of a particular work. And in this respect, the title of a literary work has both a plot significance and a symbolic significance. At least it can have. Now, titles have been chosen in different ways by different writers, in different genres, in different periods, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it is the main character of a piece who becomes the eponymous hero or heroine of a text. For example, Hamlet, the Duchess of Malfi, Tom Jones, and so on and so forth. In some cases, you will see that the place becomes the most important factor in a text and gives you the title. For example, the Northanger Abbey or the Wuthering Heights, the name of a house. In certain cases, it is a philosophical, a metaphysical or ethical concept that lends itself to be made into the title of a work. For example, Sense and Sensibility, Crime and Punishment, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes it's the binaristic relationship of two opposites that gives them as a title. For example, North and South. Okay. In the final analysis, we may say at least that names matter. Even though Kamala Das in her poem Spoiling the Name has pointed out that the name does not mean anything because the name of a person, even though it leads to societal expectations, is not to be confined to the nameless corpuscles and cells that constitute a human body and a being. In the case of a literary work, titles matter. In the case of a newscast, we'll see that the headline matters. In the case of a media post, the caption matters. In the case of a human being, a name matters. Now we have to move towards the text in focus. I mean, The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. The novel is entitled The Kite Runner, and if you look at the text, on the cover page it shows a large kite flying over Kabul. You know, we all know that flight has given us the opportunity of freedom or the opportunity of escape. In both cases, it gives an exhilarating sense. As a result, flight has often appealed to the human mind. You remember those famous lines from Shakespeare's sonnet? But in those thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day, arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. So, we all know, Hridoy amar nache re ajike moyurer moto nache re. All kinds of exceptional freedom or exceptional escape gives you an exhilarating sense of joy, of potentiality, of possibilities. As a result, the kite has got a very important symbolic function to perform here. Now, since the title of the novel is The Kite Runner, obviously I am going to deal one by one with three ideas, three sets of words. First, there is a kite. Then there is the couple of occupations. One is kite flying, another is kite fighting. Similarly, thirdly, there are the kite fighters and the kite runners. As I have already pointed out, the kite gives you a chance of flight. It can be escape. It can be freedom. The reason I am stressing these words, freedom and escape, and the kind of tenuousness that both actually hold, but we often forget or ignore this particular eventuality. I am going to come to this later on. See, so far as kite flying is concerned, it has been a favorite pastime with boys, with men, with human beings of all ages, From a very, very ancient time, in the art's history, flying kites has been a very significant pastime. Now, we have to understand certain things about the kite. It flies high, but it is controlled, manipulated by the string. Ultimately, from the spool, the string is paid out and the kite rises higher. It rises or dips based on two things, either the wind or the manipulation of the kite flyer. So ultimately, both the kite's escape and the kite's freedom is partial. because it is controlled from the earth through the connecting string. The human agency, the ultimate constriction, all these things ultimately, eventually, curtails or problematizes the independence of the kite from the governing human will. Now, so far as kite flying is concerned, it is a very pleasant pastime. But when it comes to kite fighting tournaments, then obviously the entire thing takes on an aggressive, competitive edge, EDGE, because, then the sharpness of the string, covered or coated as it is by ground glass, the manipulation, the tricks that the kite fighter has at his disposal, and the fierce competitiveness of trying to avoid other kites or to cut them at your will gives it almost a warlike severity. If you think about the kite fighter and the kite runners, you will see that the kite fighter controls the string, the kite fighter controls the kite flight, avoiding or entrapping other kites as the kite fighter deems fit. On the contrary, the kite runner is there to assist him. His joys and sorrows are vicarious because he does not control the kite. He only assists the kite fighter by feeding him the string, what to run and catch or retrieve any kite that he may, that means the kite fighter may cut. In a way, his duty is almost akin to that of a hunting dog who has to retrieve the slain bird. There is a hierarchy. The kite fighter is the master and the kite runner is the servant. But at the same time, they are parts of a team. And in a way, they can escape from other considerations of service and mastery. You see, there is a famous Afghan saying, life goes on. Life goes on. At the beginning of the novel, it is Amir who is the kite fighter, and it is Hassan, his servant and companion, who is the kite runner. So the kite runner renders service. At the end of the novel, however, the roles have been changed and the role has passed on from Hassan to Amir. Now the kite fighter is Shohrab, Hassan's son, and the kite runner is Amir, the erstwhile master. and kite fighter. So time has moved on, life has moved on. We know that even though they were brothers, Amir and Hassan grew up unaware of this biological fact, reality. As a result, Amir, the rich Pashtun guy, and Hassan, the poor, apparently Hazara kid, are differentiated by their relative social and economic positions. But at the same time, they are parts of a team. It is the friendship of Hassan for Amir that leads him to take enormous risks. At any personal cost, he is there, he is happy, he is eager, he is willing to serve his friend Amir, knowing it full well how this kite fighting matters to Hassan because, Amir. Kite fighting matters to Amir because Hassan knows kite fighting is the only way for Amir to connect with his apparently indifferent father, Baba. Because in his own day, Baba has been a champion kite fighter. So, one of the iconic moments of the text is reached when we are the 1975 kite fighting competition in Kabul is actually described to us, represented to us. The sky is scattered with hundreds of kites, indicative as they are of the factious nature of Afghanistan, which will be torn asunder by rival claims and interests, aspirations and intrigues very soon. We know that the last kite flying in the sky is declared to be the winner. Retrieving the last kite cut is also considered to be a very honorable thing because it is considered to be the biggest trophy. Amir wins this. Amir cuts the last kite. His is the last kite flying, death flying. So he is the champion. But he has to take the assistance of Hassan to retrieve the blue kite and bring it back to Baba. And Hassan is willing enough, as he has always said for you 1,000 times over. He runs after the kite and he is the most skilled and astute of all kite runners in Kabul. He gets the kite, but at a big cost. He is raped by Asif. At any hazard, however, he does not lose the kite, brings it back to Amir. Now, if this competition was the last time that Hassan and Amir could communicate with each other without thinking about the social division that led to Amir being the blue-eyed boy and Hassan being the servant who used to make his breakfast, clean his rooms, fold his clothes, and help him in thousand other ways. They were parts of a team. But from now on, they will drift apart because Amir has forgotten his duty. He has failed in his duty to be by the side of Hassan who needed him. Amir sees Hassan being tortured by Asif and his cronies, but does not come forward because he is a coward. This, however, has got a momentous impact on both the boys. On the one hand, it leads to Hassan going away from Baba's luxurious household, affluent household, to live in Hazarajot. On the other hand, it reminds Amir for the next 20 to 30 years almost about his own cowardice, his own guilt. Because Amir is always reminded of his cowardice by the Kite running tournament of 1975 that he fails to communicate with his one-time bosom friend Hassan, whom he cannot stand. On another level, it leads to the petulant Amir framing up Hassan for the theft of money. And it also leads to the breaking up of the idyllic household consisting of Uncle Ali the servant, Hassan, Baba, and Amir. At the end of the novel, it is Amir who repeats the oft-repeated statement, "For you 1,000 times over," when he runs after a kite that Shohrab has cut. Shohrab, Hassan's son. So here, Amir has learned at his own cost to serve others, to become the servant as it were, at least on a metaphoric level. It is he who is now paying back Hassan for the years of devoted service of the latter, for the former. Life has really moved on. And it is the kite fighting that ultimately helps Amir to get his redemption. The title of the novel is not Kite Fighter, but Kite Runner. The most important kite runner in this novel is Hassan. So even though Amir is the central character, it is Hassan whose life has held together not only the life of Amir, but also the movement of the plot. But there is another kite runner, that is Amir. So we may think that it could very easily have been kite runners, but it is called the kite runner for a very simple reason. Simple yet significant reason. What is that? Whosoever be the kite runner, the role of the kite runner is the same. And whosoever takes up this role, he is actually stepping into the shoes of the original kite runner, Hassan. I hope this discussion will help you in understanding the nitty-gritty of the text, because it will show you how again the novel becomes a Bildungsroman. The maturation of Amir is its theme, and the maturation, the redemption of Amir takes place only when he can serve others without any expectation of aggrandizement. Earlier, Amir always was jealous of Hassan to the fact that they were adversaries for the love of Baba. But it was the kite running competition, the kite fighting competition, that helped them to escape from this kind of competition and gain the freedom of innocence and expanse. This is what makes the title both significant and apt for the novel, The Kite Runners. Okay, this much for the time being. Thank you for listening.